So welcome everybody to the weekly podcast for this week. Last week we were in Uluru, which was very exciting. If you caught up with that one, there were a lot of flies. We don't have flies today, so that's a benefit. I'm looking forward to that. Hi, Deni.
Hi, everyone.
So I'm going to dive in, I think, start this week, and I'm going to start with the numerology for this week. So, and also for the month, yes, of course, because this is the start of April, although we didn't dive into that last week because we were away. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the numerology for the month of April, and then the numerology itself for this week. So April 2021 is actually a 9 month. It is the fourth month of a 5 year. We're in a 5 year now. So therefore the 9 archetype is running a theme through this month that relates to endings, drama, and completion. So there's a lot of strong themes really that are running through this month ahead. So you might observe either at a personal level or even at a collective level, things that are related to power plays that are on. Oh,
okay. It's my alarm telling me we need to do this call. It's all good. It's a bit of drama for you.
And this is life. And we're not going to outtake that. We'll just do it as we do it.
I wanted you to swallow a fly last week.
No. Well, having swallowed 4 flies on the whole trip, I think I well and truly did it enough, I think. So either at a personal level or a collective level, there's going to be a lot around power and power plays unfolding this month, or the consequences even of the way that power has been abused, which can no longer be tolerated. So these are kind of themes that we're going to be working with this 9 energy. And 9's also about tying up loose ends, tying up your loose ends from your old story or from your past experiences. So you may feel drawn this month as well to just finally put something down, sort of let it go, release it or clear it. It's just that, this is what I need to do now in order to move forward. So there's a lot of that kind of energy as well. Also, 9 energy is very much around the sage, the wisdom keeper. So you may be drawn, I think, this month to seek out wise elders in your community to guide you. So the 9 archetype actually holds a lot of energy of the sage and the wise one. And as the elders in our communities, and that's my phone going now, so I'll just switch that off. So clearly,
someone's trying to get in touch.
There's a lot of things going on today. So, the 9 energy of the sage, the wise one, and these elders in our communities are starting really to rise again. These people are becoming more visible in our communities. They're stepping more into their power after really centuries of being able to not do that. So we're being more drawn towards those people in our community for guidance and for wisdom, and just to kind of share the knowledge that they share as well. So that's a lot of the themes for April. And now I'm going to bring it into the energy of this week. So we're currently at this moment in week 14, and it's the second week of the 7 weeks karmic cycle I was talking about last week when we're going through the teen numbers of the 13 to 19 weeks in this year. So this is 14-5 energy. It's a 14-5 week in a 5 year. So therefore, this particular week holds a lot of 5 energy. And 5 energy is the archetype of freedom. So this is about the constructive use of freedom. So you may be drawn this week, particularly to seek out ways of creating more freedom in your life. Or you may even begin to realize where you don't have enough freedom in your life and you're feeling quite constricted. And this may show up particularly in the life area of relationships, because the 5 archetype also relates to sex and pleasure, intimacy and sensuality. So these are themes of the 5 energy as well. So it will be really interesting to see how this, maybe just to observe and pay attention to how those themes are unfolding for you at a personal level. It's a very physical energy, this 5 energy that we're sitting in this week. The other side of that 14-5 energy is all about taking care when you are seeking more freedom, to make sure that you don't act rashly or recklessly. So in other words, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Take care, before you start to take action to create more freedom in your life. And also consider that gaining more freedom isn't about insisting on having everything your own way. You do also need to consider the effect that your actions will have on other people. So you need to consider that as well as you're seeking this balance. It's really about balancing between gaining more freedom and consideration around your actions with other people and the consequences of that. And 5 is a very karmic number and represents the law of karma through choice and consequences. So we have a lot of karmic energy that we're sitting in this week. And that particular universal law is very relevant, I think, at the moment, as we let go of our old paradigm and begin creating the new one that we're moving into now. So your choices now are going to create your new way of living, and they're going to some degree shape what your life begins to look like moving forwards. So this energy this week, it's all about power, running that theme through the energy of the month. And so looking out for themes that rise for you, both personally and in the collective, around where there may be an abuse of power or excessive control manifesting in your life. They're going to be highlighted, I think, through this time. So there's some very interesting energies and themes that we're working with, and I'm interested to see what you're going to speak to around that as well. But before I hand it back to you, I'm going to just go through the cards that I drew, because yes, there are more than one card. In fact, I have 4, would you believe, that just popped out today, which I was kind of, usually I'm used to 1 popping out, but not 4, but I just decided to go with them all. So the first one was this one, the crone. And so this signified really to me the importance of being guided by our elders, and we're really moving into a time of honoring the wisdom that they hold, instead of thinking of them as no longer of use in our society. We've been through many generations now where our elders haven't been respected for the knowledge that they hold, and this card to me really represents the power that can really be held from a lifetime of experiences and journeys that have literally seen everything there is to see, and how we can all benefit from acknowledging and working with that, with those elders in our community. And then the second one I just loved was the thread. So this one is for me represented following the thread. This is something that I actually talk about quite a lot. So this card feels very significant for the energy of April to me. We're all being guided to follow the thread to find our next step, instead of needing to see the whole journey unfold before us before we even start that journey. So this card shows me that April may bring a lot of change and upheaval, but that we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to get too attached to that. We just need to follow the thread and find the next step that we need to do, and then relax around everything else that's going on. And then the third card, I can't believe it's almost like a whole card reading, this one, was the prayer. And this card for me represents the power of, I guess honoring and giving thanks to what we already have and also what we want to create. I hold no personal religious beliefs as such, but this card really represents the beauty and power of inner conversation and seeking guidance from within for me, that inner prayer that we send out sometimes. And often for me, that is around gratitude. For April, this card seemed to signify to me that inner contemplation and prayer is a powerful resource to draw upon, to help you feel grounded and centered and strong within throughout a month when a lot may be happening around you externally. So I thought that was a really beautiful card. And then finally, the last card I drew was Eros. Oh, and yes, I forgot to say, I'm using the same cards that you normally use, which I was drawn to this week, just because I don't know why. So I just followed that thread. But Eros, this one really seemed to acknowledge the energy of the 5 archetype to me that I talked about earlier on. In particular, the 5 energy around intimacy, desire and sensuality. It seems to represent the many faces of love and how we express our love and how you experience love at a deeply personal level. And it feels very much as if one of the themes of love is one of the ones that will be growing through the month of April. And we're all being asked to pay attention to what that means to us as our hearts expand and love becomes a more conscious theme in our lives at this time. So yes, that's everything from me, and I'd like to hand back to you now, Deni, and see what you can add to that as well.
Wow. Oh, I'm going to start off by saying that we're sitting in Aries, and this month we swap from Aries to Taurus. I'm an Aries rising and I'm a Taurus sun. And so this week, what came up really clearly for me before I started reading was that it's very much an embodied reading. I feel like everything that's running through me right now is for the reading because I feel it so strongly. So while I do also have my cards and I've looked at the astrology, it also feels like there's a lot that in the way that I work, that what runs through me is what is the reading. So 2 minutes before we got on this call, I put this painting behind me, which is my dark goddess painting. I brought out my wands and I'm sitting here with this wild hair. My hair doesn't normally go this wild, thinking, what's going on? But it really goes with this energy that's running through me. And I wanted to speak to the word witch, which I think is quite an uncomfortable word for a lot of people, and I think misunderstood. And the way I speak about it too, I really wanted to come from exactly how I and where I see this archetype of witch explained a little bit more, because I know that there are women out there who practice witchcraft still and have done, and that's been passed down. That is not my story. That is not how witch runs through me or how I feel it manifesting. For me, it feels like hidden magic that arises, that it sometimes feels fearful to show because of what's happened to the magic that we hold in the past. So it feels like that place that's deeply uncomfortable, and your card Crone speaks to it. It's that wisdom, that magic, that place that it's hard to speak about, and it's hard to really show it to the world because it's not definable. It's you can't describe where the stuff comes from, but it's there. I mean, I find myself trying to explain this to my kids often, where tangible has become such a big part of our world and such an acceptable part of our world. Is it provable? Is so respected? And this part, this not provable part, but the strong feeling that you get with it, it brings up lots of stuff. And I think the word witch really encompasses so much when it comes to that. I needed to speak to that. So that bit's, I feel like there's a lot of that kind of energy in April. But there's so much more that will maybe make that more obvious as I go. First of all, I start on my card, which you're right, it's the same deck that I always use, which is the Wild Unknown archetype deck. And I really resisted this card when I picked it up, because here I am sitting thinking, come on, April's going to be this great change. It's going to be this beautiful moving ahead energy. And the card I get is the dead end. It's like, really? Seriously? But then it made a lot of sense when I felt into it more. And it's actually like, while it's a dead end, at the very end of the card itself, it says the dead end becomes also known as life's beginning. And that's perfect with the 9 energy too. And not strangely enough, I'm a 9 number. So it's not surprising that I'm really feeling all that energy as well. So there's this feeling of this month of go. And then there's the feeling of false starts. So it's a go, false start, go, false start, go, false start. And I think what we've been asked for, and I've spoken to this before, but it feels like the energy is building and building and building, is what is your intention? What is it you love? What is the core of the core of the core? And why are we putting so many things on top of it and thinking, this is it, this is it, this is it? There's something underneath that we really need to find. It's like it's the reason we're here, and we're moving into this place of we all need to step up in our own ways, and maybe not follow the structures that we've built our lives around. Maybe now's the time. I mean, when I say maybe now's the time, we've been sitting on busting up the structures for the last year and a half now. But what's got to arise out of all the rubble? Can we make sure that what arises is our soul's truth? And a big word I'm getting is around truth. What is the truth, the absolute truth, the core truth? What's in your heart? The other thing I noticed is that I changed because I want a green on. I want a green around me today. And that's the energy of the heart chakra. So while there's this really strong forward energy and false starts and dead end, it feels like we've just been asked to find the core of what's at our hearts. This month, we've got so many planetary alignments in Aries. For the beginning of the month, we've got the Sun in Aries. We've got Venus in Aries. I'll read through them, even though the names may not make any difference, but there's Chiron, Ceres, Isis, Persephone, and Mercury will also be moving into Aries. And Aries is go. Aries is this initiation. It's like, let's put our foot on the gas. So there's going to be a lot of that feeling of wanting to go. But again, there's so many different aspects that are challenging what the go is. So during the month, we've got Venus, a lot of Venus energy. So that is that place of love. And it may be physical love, but it's also, it feels like it's that place of purpose. And what is it that we love, that we want to bring out into the world? So while there's this go energy with Venus being in Aries, which is a place of that love needing to have action behind it, Venus will move into Taurus, which will really, that's her home. So that energy will go into Taurus and feel a lot more at home and balanced. But then we've also got all of these conjunctions. So we've got Venus conjuncting with, actually there's a Venus square Pluto, April 11th. That's the place of this, Pluto represents the underworld. So again, it's that really uncovering what lies underneath. What's maybe, I've got a helicopter outside in case you're actually hearing that. It's that place of the shadow, like looking into maybe those places of love that feel uncomfortable. Like, can I really bring this? Is this a place that will be acceptable to the world? Can I show this part of myself when everybody in my world looks at me this way. There's an uncovering that Pluto is doing. And then, as I said, Venus enters Taurus after that on the 14th. She's going to go conjunct with Uranus on the 23rd. And that's the Great Awakener. That's that rule breaker. So again, what are we asking? In what we love, what can we face and change and break out of the norms? It feels like we're really being asked to step up into some uncomfortable places. The moon this month, we've got a new moon in Aries as well. So there's that go energy. And it's topped all up at the very end of the month with a full moon in Scorpio. And beautifully on the same day, it's the April the 27th, which just happens to be my birthday. Hence why I'm feeling so much of this. Pluto goes retrograde. So that's the planet. Pluto, I guess, represents the underworld, Hades, not wanting to put a religious or a scary undertone, but it's kind of like the devil, it's that deep, dark side. And Pluto rules Scorpio. So you've got this Pluto going to the retrograde, which is looking backwards over what's been going on over this last while. And then also with a full moon in Scorpio, which is that going into the depths sign. There's so much depth this month. So I can just feel it as this boiling energy. So I think whatever you can do to help yourself balance those energies, for me, it's always going to water. It's going to sea. So whatever it is for you, whether it's bath, whether it's bringing the salts out, whether it's getting in the ocean, try and balance the really strong energies this month. Because I think, as I said, we're really being asked to dive deeply into some uncomfortable places to uncover our truth and to go forward once we step into that Taurus energy from that place. And I think once we find that gem, once we really get in alignment, it will go. We'll find that thread, as you talked about. We'll find that piece that will help the universe guide us forward. Until then, we might be feeling that blocked off, dead end energy.
A big month. It is a big month. And I think last week it felt very much like the beginning of April was going to be sort of gentle and soft, and we could take a pause and a breath, and now we know why. So that we could then prepare ourselves for what the rest of the month holds, really.
Yeah. I'm with you. I felt that too. I felt like, this is, and that's why when I picked that card, it just, everything came after that card, but it was like, oh, okay. And I really wanted to put it back. I wanted to pick another card. I nearly did, but I knew I couldn't.
Yeah. Well, I think as we go through the month of April, it's going to be interesting to see how the weeks change and how the different energies unfold that are going to support the themes that we've talked about today. So absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. And, whilst there's a lot to dive into, we also know that that's always going to bring those changes that we really desire, the things that we really want. We need to go to those places to get to that, get to the place we want to go. And that's really what we're going to be experiencing, I think, this month.
Beautiful. Well, we'll speak again in a week and see more specifically what's happening week by week. But thanks for joining us, everyone. And if you have questions, please just leave them below the podcast or the YouTube channel.
Okay, see you next week.